Hello, Blue Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Andy's Man Club Mersey Blue podcast. And you can probably tell by my voice this evening, I am quite fucking happy. I want to start with two things for you guys, if I may. First off, I'd just like to thank you all for giving us a chance and giving us a fair few listens. We broke our own record for listens with over 500. So I sincerely, and I'm sure the lads do, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that. We really, really do appreciate your support. Please feel free, guys and girls, to, share our podcasts around and about over all your socials, all your blue mates and everything. And And the second little point I want to make is three simple words. Jackie fucking Grealish. So tonight, I am joined by my co-host, Carl, and I'm joined by our American correspondent and friend, Mark. How are we, Carl? How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you, mate. And all the best for the results of the weekend. Absolutely buzzing.
Indeed, my friend, indeed. And Marco, how are you doing over in Michigan, pal?
Buzzing. Just like Carl said, I'm actually in LA for work again. But I flew out from yesterday and super duper happy with the result and what I think is a sign of good things to come.
So what I want to do, guys, for the listeners and for you two fellas as well, I saw an interesting stat yesterday after the game before we go into the roundup. So Ilian Ndiaye, we both know, scored the first goal at the Dixie yesterday. He's only one of two players to score in consecutive Everton home games in different grounds. The other one, we go back to 1892 and a guy called Fred Geary, who scored against Bolton at Field and then against Notts Forest at Goodison Park. So, yeah, that starts us off. We're all, if you guys can see us, we have video screens and there's big smiles on everyone's faces. So let's go straight into it. The team, 4-2-3-1. Jordan Pickford between the sticks. Big Jake out at right back. Tarky, Michael Keane in the centre, and Jimmy Garner, who we'll talk a lot more about later, at left back. Anchored down by that midfield with Timmy Inabunam and Idrissa Gana-Gueye. And then my very favourite line in all of football at the minute, Ilian Ndiaye, KDH, and of course Jackie Grealish on the other wing, all supporting our new signing, Thierry Barry. Mark, do you want to go give us any little comments or quick thoughts before I go into my first half summary?
Jack Grealish seems to bring a lot of confidence to the squad because he has a very calming presence and he seemed to make it so everyone was, making smart plays, not panicking. And he's got that whole side locked down. He's incredibly patient. It was great to see him bring that to the match. And, of course, he set up the both goals. I think the play was fantastic all around. I really don't have any gripes. Keno played out of his socks. I think Thierry Barry he's a little bit apprehensive maybe, but the guy was holding up the ball very, very well and distributing as it came to him and hustling. And he got touches on both those goals, obviously not the direct assist, but he was contributing, and I think we've turned a corner.
Most certainly, my friend. Most certainly, we did. Most impression after the nightmare that was Leeds on Monday, of course. Carl, any quick thoughts before I go into the first half summary?
I totally agree with Mark. The only downside for me for the first half was Tarkowski. He wasn't at his best. And obviously, as we go in to talk about the first half, we'll discuss some of the mistakes that he made. But other than that, you can't argue with the rest of the team. Played fantastic. And I thought Irabunam, who for me wasn't our best midfielder, was brilliant. But when you think about who else we've got in that midfield, Garner, Ndiaye, KDH, and Jackie G now, it's hard to put him above any of them. But still played really well. Fantastic, a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with any of that. I agree 100% with both you boys and your quick summaries there. So we kick off. We have an early scare. I think it was Mitomo clipped the bar around about 20 minutes. And then Danny Welbeck blazed over when it was easier to score. Thank God he never. And then a little moment of pure joy for us all. 23 minutes arrives. Beautiful little ball from KDH over to Jackie G on the wing. He just runs down, gets to the byline. He just smashes a crossover. And there's the little magician, Illy, to just bash one in, make it 1-0. First goal of the Dixie, 1-0 to the Blues. You were saying earlier about Timmy Irabunam. He had a nice little shot round about the 35-minute mark and went just wide of the post after a little bit of a run there. That was quite impressive. And then we had more hijinks. Brighton hit the post. I think it was Van Heck or Van Deck, whatever his name was. And then the heart in the mouth moment just before half time was Tarkovsky, like Carl picked up on before. He just played a ridiculously blind back pass. O'Reilly, I think it was, got to it. Tried to take the ball around Pickford. Thankfully, Jordan was away and he got down low. He saved that. Not the first of like many saves he would make, of course, in a really brilliant performance with a couple of little squeaky bum moments. But referee blew up there. Everton won. Brighton 0. Half time. Mark, thoughts?
Yeah. It looks like maybe we're going to have some players amputate their arms because we keep getting these sort of dodgy handball calls. On that note, by the way, did you see that Mr. Kavanaugh was at the center of controversy again this week? He bumped Rio Fernandez right before his penalty into the Tims. But no, back to the Blues. Yeah, I felt that we had a couple of panic button moments, but to be fair, you can expect to have those against a team like Brighton. They got some fast players. I like that Welbeck, Minta. They've got some legs on that squad. So I didn't think it was out of the ordinary to feel under threat at times, but we bent. We didn't break. We ended up with the clean sheet. I think Lady Luck was a little bit on our side for a change. Nice to see Irabunam being more aggressive. And, I got to say, I think that comes from having a presence like Jack Grealish. I can only imagine the room is calmer and more confident. You just see it in everybody's play.
Yeah, all over that, mate. Totally agree. Carl, give us your thoughts, mate. What were your ideas and thoughts and opinions on the first half?
First half was, it was quite even in the amount of chances because they, as you say, hit the crossbar and stuff like that, and they had a few chances early on to score, and they could have been away with it if the luck wasn't with us, like it had been, where it certainly wasn't when you look at the Leeds game last week. Because I'm still adamant that wasn't a penalty. Adamant this one wasn't a penalty, but I'm less adamant because it could have been given either way. So I know he had his hand close to his chest and he couldn't move it, but it did hit him in the arm. So even though I don't think this one was a penalty, the likelihood is if you're going to give one or the other, then you give this one. But Jordan did his job 100% again.
He has. That gives us a nice little segue to go and have our quick sponsor advert, and we will come back for the second half and we will discuss that penalty. Life is hard and we all have bad days. There are times when we feel we can't cope. This is the time we need to reach out and talk to someone. Andy's Man Club offers local support groups nationwide, running every Monday from 7 p.m, except on bank holidays. In these groups, men can open up about the issues affecting their lives in a safe, non-judgmental environment. Our clubs are designed to be free of pressure. There is no obligation for men to speak, they can simply listen if they wish. Find us today at www.andysmanclub.co.uk. Help one guy, save one life. Andy's Man Club, it's good to talk. Welcome back, Blues. So that was our little sponsor advert. Andy's Man Club, it's okay to talk. Any of you guys out there, please, please, please use that facility. They really are a lifesaver. So, going on to lifesavers, let's go on to the second half. So, we start the second half and almost straight away, 53 minutes I think it was. And we had, for me, the goal of the game. I enjoyed Jackie's little cross for Illy in the first half, but this one was something else. Lovely little ball off Jackie G. Plays it just back out of the area. There's Jimmy Garner, just runs onto it, and first time he just fucking lashes a low shot that just no one sees it. It just nestles in the back of the net. The only place he could have put it without the keeper actually getting it. Absolutely beautiful, perfect shot. 25 yards, bottom corner. 2-0 the Blues. And again, second assist from our boy, Jackie G. And then we had a couple more chances. Thierry Barry, I think the corner, round about the hour mark, he headed over. I'd like to see that one on target, to be fair. First subs of the day, 65 minutes. Barry and Illy go off. Beto and Alcaraz come on. About 5 minutes later, around about 70th minute mark, Timmy Arabunum, after a really good performance like the boys had picked up on there, went off. And D-Mac, Dwight McNeil arrived. And then the little contentious point for the second time in a week, we had a penalty. So we're in the area. The lad, I can't remember for the life of me, one of the boys might be able to fill you in on who that was, but he kicks it like goal bound. There's Keenan Dewsbury Hall, KDH. His hand is out. The second it went to VAR, we learned that lesson Monday night. We all knew how it was going to go. There was a little bit of private cursing for myself. I was watching the game in work with like a load of rednecks who found it most amusing. Before we go on to like that brilliant save, I sit, and I know like I'm with Carl on this because we spoke about it at half time there off air. I'm not sure because I don't know what a penalty is anymore. To me, I wasn't going to argue it because it clearly hit him on the hand, where last week's fucking farce at Ellen Road was nowhere near a penalty. I'd only argue, quite simply, that there's no guidelines with VAR or the corrupt Premier League officials. It changes from game to game, minute to minute, week to week. I'd argue quite comfortably with anybody that nobody can define what a penalty actually is these days. So that gets given. And hero at the moment, Jordan went the right way at Ellen Road. The lad put it under him and scored with, what was a good penalty. Whatever. This time, low and to the left. He seemed to jump a little bit early for me, but I'm not arguing. He got down, he fucking grabbed that ball. And I was in work, and one of my colleagues was in the office with the manager having a meeting. And I jumped up, yeah, like that. And my boss, who's an Evertonian, opened the door. She goes, "Have Everton scored?" I said, "No, fucking Jordan Pickford just saved the penalty." And just sheer emotion, and I think the hangover of Monday night, and I just started blasting out Jordan Pickford's song, he hates Newcastle, he hates a shite, Jordan Pickford is dynamite, and yeah, what a moment that was. It just felt like almost, it was like cathartic. It was like the football gods, and I know I'm harping on about a penalty that was a save and that, but it was just so much fucking relief after that joke at Ellen Road the other day. So Geordie, low and down to his left, saves it. Like the boys have picked up on, Brighton, we're always in the game. They're a good little side. I've got no problem with Brighton. They always play the game the right way. There's no drama. They're a nice little run little club, and they always give you the game. But I'm sorry, Seagulls fans, it wasn't to be today. You weren't ruining Jackie G's day, Illy, or indeed Jimmy Garner, or any of the other guys, Timmy, any of them that played, and Jordan, their arse off there. 2-0 to the Blues. And again, it was one of them games where they'd rattle the post, he'd rattle the crossbar. There was a bad back pass from James Tarkowski. On another day, they'd have got in, but it just wasn't to be because the heavens shone on the Blue Boys, and we won that game. A couple of late chances. Beto had the chance. He should really have done better. Went right to the keeper. But the main thing is, we won that first game at the Dixie. We had an attendance of 51,759, screaming, roaring Evertonians. Just before the end, injury time, Jackie come off to a hero's welcome. Young Harrison Armstrong come on. We sit, as of time of recording, Monday night at 8 p.m, because we're not watching the red shite, we're recording this instead. Everton sit 8th in the table. So whatever happens up with them bellends in the northeast and the red shite, it's immaterial. Today's podcast, and indeed, this is about Everton. Don't give a fuck what they think. Carl, I've waffled long enough. Let me take a breath. Give me your thoughts, pal.
Absolutely brilliant second half. But the Garner goals, spot on. He doesn't score goals, does he? I mean, he plays most of his career, Everton career, in midfield, and very rarely scores. Maybe the odd goal in the cup he scored, but certainly not in the league. I think he said on my commentary it was the second goal he'd scored in the league. One thing I do want to mention is the fact that the atmosphere that came across just for me watching it from my stream It was so loud. It was unbelievable. It was like deafening. Apparently, somebody had said on Sky, Sky had put like a tweet up, and they'd done like a bit of footage on it, and you couldn't even hear the lines. Sorry, the referee shouting because it was that loud. The noise. It was fantastic. Fantastic goal by Jimmy Garner. He couldn't have put it anywhere else. Anywhere else, and the goalie would have got there. It reminded me a little bit of last week's goal, the penalty, where Jordan he almost got there, but not quite. But this time it went for us. The penalty, I think, was a bit of a joke, even though it was more of a penalty, I thought, than last week's 100%. And you can either give it or not give it. I didn't think it was, but they probably deserve, with the chances they had, to at least have a shot on target. But Jordan, with his notes again, I seen the interview afterwards, and he said, "Oh, you've got Welbeck 50-50." He said, but you didn't see what it was above it. It says goalkeeper lift on the ball. So he knew when he was going all along. And that's what 3 penalty saves now out of 4. Absolutely brilliant. And Jackie Grealish again. My man of the match, but closely run by Pickford. Because without that penalty save, if they'd have scored at that point with 20 minutes to go, they'd have had the impetus and carried on. And he probably would have got another one. And I think it was Minter that got the cross in for the end ball.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, on another day, if they'd have took their chances, they hit the woodwork a couple of times, that back pass from Tarky, Pickford was massive there, plus the penalty. Marco, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Carl more. Save by Jordy was a huge momentum shift. Had they scored that, they would have had momentum going into the last, whatever that was, 40 minutes of the match. So that was huge for us. And that guy clearly takes his job home with him. He's doing the film, he's doing the scouting. And on your comment that he dove a little early, I think he may have, but you could see his knees turn when Welbeck took that final look down to make sure his foot was going to strike the ball the way he wanted to. So Jordan's right on it. All the synapses were firing. Did his homework and he guessed right, and we were much better for it. Regarding the Garner goal, so I didn't grow up playing football. I grew up playing hockey. I still play. We call those goals one-timers, as you know, Nick, from following the Dragons, and those are some of my favorite goals. He just left a floater out there, a muffin pass we call it, and Garner stepped up and put an absolute fucking rocket on the short side, which is difficult to do. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but the goaltender actually got a little slight piece of it with his hand, but he couldn't get enough of it. And it smoked the back of the net, and the place went wild. And it was fun to see both ends get to witness a goal. So I enjoyed that very much. Beto had that one turnaround attempt at goal, which I kind of felt like from that spot, it should have been on goal. If it saved, it saved, but for it to go wide, I don't know if he's just losing his bearing of where he's at, or if he's trying to actually pick a corner. I'd rather see us just get the ball on net, and if it doesn't go in, we can fight for the rebound. But he showed a lot of hustle. It was nice to see him come on and contribute. It was great to see Harrison Armstrong come on at the last few minutes. I'm glad he's still with the squad, not shipped out anywhere. And Dwight McNeil, throughout the summer series and the preseason, I was kind of at Dwight for being lackluster, but for the minutes that he got, he was definitely a contributor. And I got to say, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but Moisey picked a great starting 11, and I think the confidence that comes with having that lineup is what carried over into everybody's play.
Yeah, amazing points, mate. Absolutely amazing. We are so happy. I've been walking around work, yesterday and even today, just like whistling Geordie's song and this big stupid Joker style smirk on my face.
Yeah. Same. I wore my Bainesy shirt on the airplane last night, flying from Detroit to LA, and people kept coming up to me, "Oh, you guys had a great showing yesterday. Nice." And none of them were Evertonians. They were all supporters of other clubs, but people were happy for us. On Carl's point about the noise level, He's absolutely correct. It was 126 point something decibels, and from what I read, it was the fifth loudest recorded noise level in the Prem in its history. So we were up there with some really loud goals, and of course the shiter on the message boards today saying that you know theirs were louder, and just finding any reason and every reason to discredit that. But they know they don't have the best barn in town. They know that they're going to be trying to play catch up with us in that regard for the next 100 years. So it was fun to see them bitter and obsessed with us like they always are on our message boards.
Yeah, I love it, me. I think the other thing as well about that decibel level is all the chanting and the singing was in English and not Norwegian. So we're ahead. All right, boys. Thank you so much for your input there. So we move on to the Carabao Cup second round. We're at the Dixie on Wednesday night against Mansfield Town. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but it's, I'd expect a win. Give us a quick prediction, Carl.
I'd expect to win as well, to be fair, but we always struggle against these lower league teams in the early round of the cup, and I don't know what it is. I expect them to make a load of changes. I expect by tomorrow, this time tomorrow, we'll have all had 100% confirmation that Tyler Diblin's now an Everton player. I wouldn't be surprised if Barry starts again, because the time that he had on, I know he didn't score, but he was involved. Even as like the pre assist, he was involved in both the goals yesterday. And the more he plays, the more he'll get used to the teammates. And then once he gets his first one, if it's on Wednesday, then I think he'll go from strength to strength, and he will be our striker going forward.
I've got 3-0 to a younger, more inexperienced trial Blues side. Carl, give us a quick score prediction.
2-0. I don't think he'll go to OTC with it. I think we'll get 2. We'll be happy. We'll sit back. They won't have many chances, I don't think. And I think we're comfortably win at least 2-0. I hope it'll be more, but I'm going to say a minimum of 2-0.
Yeah, good shout. Mark, before we finish off, mate, give us a quick score prediction.
I'm going to say 2-1. We seem to just underperform against lesser teams. And, I hope we drub them.
Okay, well, on that happy note then, boys, we all seem unanimous, I'm sure, as do the listeners, of a Everton win. Quickly before we go, Marco?
Yeah, hey, sorry. I just want to point out one thing. I'm just learning how to be involved in this type of stuff, podcasts and all the different social medias. And I got engaged a little bit this past week regarding the Leeds performance in our pod, regarding that performance. And we did a lot of banter with the Leeds guys and on the Facebook pages and on the YouTube pages. And I want to say, I get a lot of stick on the socials for being a septic tank, wank stain, Yankee piece of shit, whatever. And I got to tell you, the Leeds fans stood on business. We went back and forth 100 different times, and it was all about my team versus their team. Nobody took a low shot. So I got to give a proper shout to the Loiners for keeping it about football and not being a cunt. And so I tip my hat to them. They're better than our crosstown rivals. I enjoyed the engagement. I don't support their club, obviously, but the banter was top, and they stood on business, and I got to respect that.
Yeah, we did get a little bit of to and fro in the YouTube comments as well as on some of the socials. But again, we welcome this. We are a fledgling podcast and we love the interaction with you all. So on that little note, we've gone on for nearly 30 minutes, so we're going to wrap it up. Carl, a pleasure as always, my friend. Thank you for your thoughts, your opinions, your friendship and your co-hosting.
Yeah, bring on Wednesday and bring on Saturday. Can't wait for us to play Wolves next Saturday. I'm buzzing on it. Played 2, lost 2, so another 3 points in the bag for the Blues.
Yeah, let's hope so, eh? Mark, pleasure as always, pal. Thank you for your time, mate. I know you're on a schedule and you're in Los Angeles at the minute and stuff like that, but cheers, buddy. A pleasure as always.
Yeah, fellas, thanks for having me. It's been great. Looking forward to the matches this week. Looking forward to the next time we can all get together. And obviously, we'll be chatting throughout the week on Messenger.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please feel free to share this podcast with all your blue mates. And you know what? Just for fun, drop it on all them fucking Facebook groups that don't belong to Everton as well. Marco, see us out.
Up the fucking toffees.